Welcome back to ChatBoxin. I'm Legion of Louisville Legend, aka 3XL, aka Mr. AKA at ChatBoxin. I bring the questions and I bring the smoke.
And I'm Miles Mercer in the co-pilot seat.
No doubt. What
Let's
up?
get into tipping culture.
For sure. So again, like he just said, we talking about tipping culture, and we want to know, is it gratitude or is it a guilt tax? We're going to get straight to the proceedings this evening, but before we get started, let me disclaim a little something right here. AI can be wrong. This is just commentary and learning. It's not financial advice or anything like that. I'm going to press it from both sides, so let's get it pushing, right? Round one. Miles, I need you to define culture.
Tipping in the U.S. used to be like, exactly, yeah. Tipping in the U.S. used to feel kind of like a thank you. You know, like, hey, great service, here's a little extra. But now, it feels like a guilt tax at every counter screen. The terminal spins around, says 20, 25, 30%, and you think, am I the jerk if I tap no? So, yeah, right. Gratitude's a guilt shift.
Wow. All right, so Miles is feeling himself a little bit. Hey, yo, Miles, we're in round one. I need you to define tipping culture in one sentence and then define tipflation in one sentence. It's on you. Let's go.
Tipping culture. Tipping culture is a social and economic expectation where customers supplement workers' pay directly beyond the posted prices. Tipflation is the upward creep in both tip suggestions and the number of places asking for tips, even outside traditionally tipped jobs.
Oh, well, on that note, thanks for the segue there. What jobs are traditionally tipped and what jobs are getting tipped prompts now that didn't get used to get tips?
Let me check. Okay, so traditionally tipped jobs include restaurant servers, bartenders, hotel bellhops, valets, food delivery drivers, taxi and rideshare drivers, hairstylists, barbers, and nail techs, and sometimes hotel housekeeping. But what's new is tip prompts popping up at coffee shops, frozen yogurt counters, self-service kiosks, retail checkouts, stadium concession stands, even some digital checkouts. It sparks that whole gratitude versus guilt tax argument. Yeah.
I can dig it. I can dig it. All right, so why do you feel like people are annoyed right now? Is it the amount, the frequency, or the way the screens ask for tips?
Honestly, all three, but the screens are the theater. That awkward pause while someone watches the iPad flip to 20, 25, no tip. I'm sorry, 20, 25, 30. People feel cornered, not thanked. And when every checkout screen asks, it feels less like rewarding service and more like patching payroll gaps.
Right, got you. So, in summarizing this round, basically what we're saying is the issue isn't tipping itself, it's where it's showing up and how it's being pushed, right?
Exactly. It's less about rewarding good service and more about ubiquity and pressure. Tipping everywhere, strong suggested percents, and social awkwardness doing the enforcing. That's the real flashpoint.
I can dig it. I can dig it. All right, y'all. Round two. Steel man for both sides. Let's go. Pro tipping steel man. Make a strong argument that tipping is fair and necessary. No strong man. I need you to make it convincing, homie. What is it?
Let me think. Okay, the best stillman is tipping is fair because it directly rewards the worker, not just the business, and can incentivize better service. It offers flexibility. People can reward standout service more generously or dial it back when the service is bad. And for workers, it can mean higher earnings potential, especially in busy seasons without raising menu prices for everyone. So, pro tip case, it's choice and direct feedback between customer and worker.
All right. I feel all that. And yo, don't kill the messenger, people out here when y'all listening to this. But I gotta do pushback. That's what we do here. So answer me this, riddle me this, Batman. Why is the customer responsible for closing the wage gaps instead of the business?
Yeah, that's the sharpest critique. The argument against tipping says customers shouldn't be payroll. Prices should cover wages and profit transparently. Otherwise, tipping turns into an unofficial surcharge, and social pressure replaces fair wages. And to keep it balanced, pro tip folks respond many servers actually earn more with tips than with flat wages. So it's about which system better serves workers and consumers in practice, not just in theory.
All right, I get that one. All right, let's flip this. Let's flip it on its head, right? Make a strong man argument that tipping culture is broken and it's basically just a guilt tax.
Okay. The strongest anti tip stillman case, if a business can't pay fair wages without offloading payroll to customers, the model is broken. Tipping was supposed to be a voluntary thank you, but now it's an expectation with social pressure baked in. Clear pricing and fair wages would be simpler and more honest. So when gratitude becomes an expectation, tipping feels like a guilt tax instead of genuine choice.
All right, here go the pushback, people. If we get rid of tipping tomorrow, who loses first, the workers or the business? I need you to be specific on that one, homie.
Let me think. So, if tipping ended overnight, workers would take the immediate hit because many depend on tips for a big chunk of their income. Businesses might save in the short term, but if wages replace tips, then businesses absorb the pressure first. Then they have to decide raise prices, cut hours, or take a smaller profit margin. So the pain shifts. But either way, someone pays. The debate is really when and how transparently.
Gotcha. All right. Yo, let's check our biases and fairness right quick. Is tipping based in real life? Like, do looks, race, gender, accent change who gets tipped? And give us the uncomfortable truth. What do you see out there? Is how good a tip is really on the service, or is there other factors that are
The
involved with it?
uncomfortable truth is yes, studies show tipping isn't just about service. Attractiveness, perceived gender, race, accent, even small gestures like crouching at the table can affect tips. That's one reason critics call it unfair, because income can hinge on customer bias. Pro tip folks will counter that service quality still usually drives higher tips on average, but even they have to admit it's not a perfect meritocracy. That's why many argue pay shouldn't depend so heavily on customer discretion.
I can dig it. All right, last of this round, the tip screen movement. Why do them iPad tip screens feel so aggressive? Is it psychology? Is it design? Or is it just us being cheap out in this world?
Psychology and design, mostly. Those screens use choice architecture. The default options nudge you. Add in social pressure, someone waiting behind you, and yeah, it feels pushy. Plus, tip fatigue is real. People aren't necessarily cheap, they're overwhelmed by frequency. So, no, it's not mainly stinginess, it's design plus exhaustion.
Okay. Ding, ding, ding. That's round two. Round three. Here we go. Real world rules. The verdict. All right, here we go. The rule book. Give me a fair tipping rule book with ranges for dine-ins, delivery, bartending, barbers and beauty shops, ride shares, coffee, takeout pickups, self checkouts. What's the rule book for tipping? What is a good rule of thumb that we should all be, or we should all and could all kind of be in on, and it just be the new thing to how we do this thing?
Let me sketch something. Okay. A fair rule book separates expected from optional tips. So, dine-in restaurants, 15 to 20% for decent service, 20 to 25 for excellent. If service is truly poor, less is okay. Food delivery, 10 to 20% with a $3 to $5 minimum. Bartenders, $1 or $2 per simple drink, or 15 to 20% for craft cocktails. Barbers, hairstylists, beauty pros, 15 to 20%. Rideshare, 10 to 20%. Matters most for clean, safe, helpful rides. Coffee shops, optional. No shame on basic trip. $1 or 10 to 15% if there's real extra. Take pickup, optional. Couple dollars or 5 to 10% if someone went above and beyond. Self-checkout kiosks, no tip. Tip when a human actually provides service, not just a screen. That is fair without shaming anyone.
Oh man, I think DoorDash and the cart's gonna have to beat you later on, pimp. All right, here we go. We're gonna try to fix this. Well, we ain't gonna fix the system. We're gonna push that back a little bit. All right, let's go into just tell me whether I'm bugging or valid, and then let me know how you feel on that. Pick a side and defend it. If you can't tip, don't go out. Am I bugging or is that a valid statement? Pick a side and defend it for me, please, sir.
I'll pick a side. That's bugging. Blanket rule? No. Coffee shops, takeout, kiosks don't carry the same tipping norm. But in full service settings, if you use the service, knowing workers depend on tips, not tipping shifts the cost onto the worker. And boy, critics would say either tip or support businesses with different pay models. So not tipping across the board sounds overly broad. Better tip in traditional tipped roles. Skip tips at self-checkout. And push for clearer wages where tipping is doing the heavy lifting. That recognizes the human side without pretending the system is already solved.
All right. So yeah, let's try to fix this system. Okay. What's the best realistic fix? Would it be higher base wages, service charges, tip pooling, or keep it as is? Choose one of these, not necessarily these, but like choose a solution and then explain how it would actually work.
Yeah. I higher base wages with tipping being optional for exceptional service. Restaurants would bake labor costs into prices. Customers pay slightly more on menus, but no guessing at the terminal. Tips become what they were meant to be, a thank you, not a necessity to make payroll. Right?
I don't disagree with you on that. All right, y'all. It's time to deliver the verdict. Let me think. So based on everything that we've been talking about, I'm finding it a little difficult to fall on one side or the other. On one hand, if I were to stay balanced in this situation, I think tipping started off as a gratitude, but right now it's turning into like a guilt tax. Tip the workers where service is the product, but these random tip prompts everywhere, it's starting to become the business passing the buck. So I don't know how I feel about that. On the flip side, though, until wages catch up, I'm not willing to punish workers for a broken system. I'll tip where it counts. I'm side-eyeing companies that are behind the tip screen. I don't know how I feel about that daggone flip thing, and all of a sudden they're looking at you like, okay, where my money at? You know what I mean? That's a little crazy for me. I think. I also think if your business model needs that guilt tip kind of thing to survive, then your prices is BS. And people, you need to pay people right, charge honestly, and stop putting payroll on the customers, man. That's just where I stand on it. I don't really think, I don't know if there's necessarily a perfect solution to this. Obviously, the minimum wage thing needs to come up. Everyone should be able to make a living wage in this world, and it's wild that every time someone says something like that, it turns into a capitalism discussion. But we're gonna keep it moving because we don't want to hold y'all too much longer. I'm glad y'all stayed with us this long. Hey yo, comment bugging or valid. Is tipping gratitude or is it a guilt trap? Well, shit, we can use trap too. A guilt tax. And drop the next topic you want us to kind of chop it up in the ring. Until then, hey yo, if I stepped on any toes, get you a pair of them bright boots and then stand on it. Until then, I'm Legion and we out. One.